Love podcasts, hate nonsense. It's a PoliticsJOE podcast. Yes.
Last PMQs of the season.
That's right. Last PMQs of 2023. And a whole lot more to look forward to in 2024. Season finale. Good stuff. How are you, Eva?
Season finale of PMQs and the season finale of the Tories in power.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That's great radio. It's just us going. How are you, Eva?
Well, you know. You?
Yeah, no, I'm good. Do you want to talk about it? Okay.
I don't feel great. How do you feel?
I feel grand.
Oh, well, good. Glad.
We're here to talk about the latest edition of Prime Minister's Questions, featuring the protagonist Rishi Sunak and Sir Keir Starmer.
Is Sir Keir a protagonist in your eyes, or is he a secondary? So, like, if we were nominating them for, like, the Golden Globes,
Yes.
is he, like, supporting?
So he's supporting, I guess, because it's Prime Minister's Questions.
Right, yeah.
I think that's
Where's
how it
Stephen
works.
Flynn?
Supporting as well, if he's being nominated.
Yeah. That's a tough category then, isn't it?
Well, there's more supporting actors than Prime Minister's Questions then.
Yeah.
It's one main actor and 649 supporting actors.
But you see, what you could argue is that Stephen Flynn is not a supporting actor, but Keir Starmer is a supporting role in the Rishi Sunak saga. Am I right, ladies and gentlemen?
There's going to be more jokes like that later on in the podcast. Shall we talk about PMQs?
Yeah, go on. Roll the clip.
Roll clip.
He can spin it all he likes, but the whole country can see that yet again the Tory party is in meltdown and everyone else is paying the price. Now, he's kicked the can down the road, but in the last week his MPs have said of him he's not capable enough. He's inexperienced. He's arrogant. A really bad politician. Well, they're shouting. This is what they said. So, well, come on. Who was it who said he's a really bad politician? Hands up. They're shouting. Well, what about inexperienced? Who was that? Or, and now there's got to be some hands for this. He's got to go. Oh, shy. Apparently, he's holding a Christmas party next week.
Order. It's Christmas. No, but you might not want the Christmas present that I could give you. So please, Keir Starmer.
Apparently, he's holding a Christmas party next week. How's the invite list looking?
Starmer, I think, was just wanting to take the piss out of the Conservative Party today.
I thought you were going to start with, like, Starmer was giving today.
No, you can do that.
Starmer was serving.
He was serving 8 and left no crumbs.
Well, you would say that.
Okay.
No, it was a good PMQs. He's really found his niche, and his niche is to destroy the Prime Minister.
He was actually doing, I think, what you were talking about this morning. You said to me this morning, we need to stop treating the Conservative Party seriously.
Yeah.
Because you were talking about the 5 families bollocks of the Backbench Rebellion, which failed. Do you want to talk on that a little bit?
Yeah. So the big Rwanda vote.
Yep.
The Conservatives have dominated the news cycle for the past couple of days, you know, with rumours that they were going to vote it down. It would be a shock loss for the Prime Minister. It would be, it could bring down the government. And there are letters of no confidence apparently flying in and all sorts. And then they bottled it at the last minute.
Completely shut themselves.
What I just find extraordinary about it is I do think that we are the media contributing to it, because we are giving them the airtime and the space to talk about themselves.
It's Mark Francois saying, like, I'd like to do a press conference. You can say no.
Yeah.
You can say no to Mark Francois.
You can, yeah. You know, if no one turned up, that might teach them a lesson to do some governing.
Mark Francois doing one presser
Yeah.
to, like, one person just filming on their phone. Or no, he would just self-produce it, wouldn't he? He'd have an aide for his socials.
Because what you're doing is you're giving them an overinflated sense of self-importance. Because every single time that there is a little disagreement, which honestly should be going on behind doors. Like, if you had genuine concerns about the policy, the legality of the policy, those should be conversations you're having with your whip that is being fed into the cabinet that is then being discussed sensibly and amendments are being made. That's how good policy gets put into action, right? And instead, they put us through this bizarre psychodrama. And I'm sorry, it's because they love the limelight. They love the attention.
They love the attention of their stupid breakfast meeting yesterday morning. Like, we know what they had for fucking breakfast.
Yeah, why do we know that? Why do I know about the Star Chamber? Why do I know?
Why is it called a Star Chamber?
Why do I know that the Star Chamber were going to meet in Margaret Thatcher's old room, and now they couldn't meet in there? They had to meet somewhere else.
Why are they calling the 5 groups of the backbenchers? Why are they calling them the 5 families?
Yeah.
That's dumb.
Yeah.
If you are a journalist and you use that phrase earnestly in the past couple of days, you're a bad journalist. You're not good at your job.
Whoa.
Yeah, I think it's...
Shots fired from Edward Campbell.
Yeah, be better at your job. It's a
Campbell
stupid phrase.
Hates families.
Ed Campbell comes out swinging for the mafia.
Yeah.
This is actually going to be my last podcast, guys. I think I've messed with the wrong groups here.
Do you know what's interesting? So Rishi Sunak's, this is a tangent, Rishi Sunak's first answer today during Prime Minister's questions when Keir Starmer had asked him a question. His response was, why are you laughing? His response was, under this Conservative government, Mr. Speaker, we have delivered more families.
Yeah, what the fuck does that mean?
What does that mean?
Like, what could... Is there more people living in 2-parent households?
Oh, it's like one of those... do you remember when
it?
Jordan Peterson got obsessed with sperm farms? It's something to do with that.
We have more Brits pumping out sperm than ever before. In like a brave new... Is it Brave New World that they grow the people in the chambers?
So you think that, okay, this is a great hot take from you. I've never heard this before. We're living in like dystopia.
No, but imagine there was like a secret farm where they were growing babies. And
Stay tuned, listener, because soon Edward...
We're going to break that white fucking open.
Ed Campbell is about to drop an Orwellian reference, and then he's going to liken it to Animal Farm. It's going to be that's going to be one you can't.
Ollie and Ava don't want me to publish this.
You don't want to hear it.
It's just me self-filming outside like a sperm bank, being like.
And then apropos of nothing, like your first word is Machiavellian.
Big Brother doesn't want me to do this. I break down the doors of the sperm bank.
That's good.
Let me in!
I know what you're doing. Yeah. And then on a less exciting note, but one
yes, we try segueing into this one.
But you'll like this because you hate families and 140,000 children will be homeless this Christmas.
I wish I hadn't done that as I was laughing.
Starmer, yeah. Well, you would find that funny, wouldn't you?
I don't.
So that's on you.
Should we roll a clip?
Roll the clip.
He talks about children. Nearly 140,000 children are going to be homeless this Christmas. That is more than ever before. That's a shocking state of affairs, and it should shame this government. Instead of more social housing, house building is set to collapse. Instead of banning no-fault evictions, thousands of families are at risk of homelessness. Rather than indulging his backbenchers swanning around in their factions and their star chambers, pretending to be members of the mafia, when's he going to get a grip and focus on the country?
Let's just look at the facts. Let's look at the facts, actually, because rough sleeping in this country is down by 35%, Mr. Speaker, since its peak, thanks to the efforts of this government. There are hundreds of thousands of fewer children in poverty today, thanks to this government, Mr. Speaker. And when it comes to home building, again, what are you doing? We just had the data this last week. In the last year, an almost record number of new homes delivered, Mr. Speaker, more than in any year of the last Labour government.
140,000 children homeless this Christmas, and he's utterly tone deaf. And the rise in homelessness shows how these Tory crises merge and grow and damage the country. Families like the Bradys in Wiltshire, both parents working full-time, with 2 young children, forced out of their home of 15 years by a no-fault eviction, now living in their van. Or 11-year-old Liam Walker, homeless this Christmas. He wrote a letter to Santa saying, "Please, can I have a forever home? I don't want any new toys. I just want all my old toys out of storage. I just want us to be happy again." Is there anything that could shame this government into putting the country first? Then it's surely this little boy.
Mr. Speaker, if he really cared about building homes... No. If he really cared about building homes, when there was an opportunity in this House, Mr. Speaker, in this House, to back our plans to reform defective EU laws, to unlock 100,000 new homes, Mr. Speaker, what did he do? He went in front of the cameras and said one thing and came in here and blocked it. Typical shameless opportunism.
I think this was a good second attack from Starmer, as in being like, not only are they pathetic and ridiculous, they're actively damaging people in this country.
Yeah.
And this is the state of Britain.
The trouble that we get into when we have these conversations. Okay, so let me first just say that this was a really good question.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was exactly what you want out of a Prime Minister's question. You want to hear what the problem is. You want to hear a case study of who it's affecting, and you want the Prime Minister to be held accountable for the issue at hand. Well, he was talking about these young children who just want to have a permanent place of residence, and they don't at the moment. I mean, it was this really awful line in there, which was, "I don't want any new toys. I just want the toys that I have in storage." It's awful.
Heartbreaking.
The problem that you have is that Labour don't have a cohesive anti-poverty plan for when they get into government. So there have been many conversations about universal free school meals. Now, I would say that the base point of tackling child poverty in the country is that everyone who goes to primary school has a meal during the day, because then at least you can guarantee that people are eating.
Mm-hmm.
There's also not been a lot said about a universal credit uplift. The last time, and I'll happily be corrected, but I do believe the last time that it came up in the Commons, Labour did not say that they would put in a universal credit uplift. And at the moment, it's very low, considering the rate of inflation, and also considering it's stagnated in line with wages. And so it's not adequate. So it's all very well and good to raise these points. It would be great to hear some policy on how you're going to tackle it yourself.
Yeah. It's good winning the argument, but you have to provide some policy. And also, if things are just going to stagnate under you, if you're not going to do anything radical to change it, then what's the fucking point?
Well, that's why I'm really interested in that £28 billion that Labour were going to set aside for green energy policies, because it's kind of like a FDR, New Deal. Mm-hmm. It's sort of like you shut the country down and you go, right, we're not going to solely rely on international trade anymore. We're going to use our own money to pay people to build new roads, new schools, new hospitals. Mm-hmm. Specifically with the energy, we're going to pay them to build new nuclear factories and new wind farms. That employs a whole load of people. If you're employing one person, 4 people benefit for each person that you hire. That's a really great way to get the country moving again and get people employed. Whether they will do it is another question.
Yeah, I suppose we just need to wait and see.
We do have to wait and see.
I suppose that's just like the Labour line, isn't it? Like, wait and see.
Well, I hope like families like the Bradys in Wiltshire, for their sake, I hope they enact it.
Yeah, fucking hell. So that we both can get his toys back. Oh, it's bleak, isn't it? Should we do Stephen Flynn?
Go on then.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can the Prime Minister please share his Christmas message for children being bombed in Gaza this winter?
Prime Minister.
No. Mr. Speaker, nobody wants to see this conflict go on for a moment longer than necessary. We urgently need more humanitarian pauses to get all the hostages out and to get life-saving aid into Gaza to alleviate the suffering of the Palestinian people. And we have been consistent that we support what is a sustainable ceasefire, which means Hamas must stop launching rockets into Israel and release all the hostages.
Stephen Flynn.
Mr. Speaker, if the current actions of the Israeli government continue, then it is estimated that almost 1,400 more children will die between now and Christmas Day. Now, in the United Nations last night, our friends and allies in France, in Ireland, in Canada, in Spain and in Australia, they joined with 148 other nations to vote with courage, care and compassion for a ceasefire. The UK, they shamefully abstained. How can the Prime Minister possibly explain why 153 nations are wrong, yet Westminster is right?
Mr. Speaker, as I've said consistently, we're deeply concerned about the devastating impact of the fighting in Gaza on the civilian population. Too many people have lost their lives already, and this is something that we've stressed, and I've stressed personally to Prime Minister Netanyahu just last week. And what we are doing practically is to get more aid into Gaza, Mr. Speaker. The Foreign Secretary is appointing a UK humanitarian coordinator, and in my conversations last week with Prime Minister Netanyahu, I pressed him on opening up the Kerem Shalom crossing so that more aid can flow in, and we are actively exploring the opportunity for maritime corridors, something that the UK is well placed to lead, and I can give him my assurance that we will work night and day to get more aid to those who desperately need it.
Stephen Flynn, I actually think Stephen Flynn and the SNP and Hamza Yusuf have kind of distinguished themselves in the Gaza-Palestine conflict by being a point of difference from the rest of the UK parties, by being sympathetic to the plight of the Palestinian people.
That's not fair. There is Layla Moran in the Liberal Democrats.
The parties more widely.
Yeah.
Excuse me, yeah, of
But
course.
it's not official Lib Dem policy.
No,
to call for
but as in Layla Moran
ceasefire.
should obviously be commended as well. And yeah, I think Stephen Flynn, yeah, this is a great point to make, and once again is a good SNP line to take as a distinguishing feature against Labour in Scotland.
Mm-hmm. Well, it also comes off the back of the news that the UN General Assembly yesterday, they voted for a non-binding humanitarian ceasefire. The US voted it down. However, the US, Biden specifically, had said that Israel was losing support on the international stage because of the indiscriminate bombing. The UK abstained on that. What do you make of abstaining in general?
Abstaining in general, I suppose it depends on what context. Not in this context at all. But abstaining from smoking.
Well,
or do you mean I'm being glib? The political act of abstention as opposed to voting against it.
Yeah.
I
I was actually asking you about abstinence. Obviously.
Practicing. In terms of this, I think it's cowardly, isn't it? You have the other prominent Western countries were voted in favour and took kind of a brave, bold stance, and Britain shirked their, I suppose, moral obligation.
Yeah, I mean, it's just quite. I think using an abstention is a real get out, isn't it? It's like,
I think it's cowardly. To be honest
it
with
is
you.
cowardly. It's like make a decision, take a stance on it, and decide where you're going. And look, Gaza and the plight of the Palestinians has fallen right to the bottom of the news agenda recently. I mean, over the past week,
About fucking Rwanda. About the fucking Rwanda bill.
I
That's
know.
what we're talking about.
I mean, over the past few days, we've been talking about the Star Chamber and the 5 families, and you'd be hard pressed to find a front page that was dedicated solely to what is going on in Israel, Gaza. We're moving into Christmas. Parliament is about to break up on Tuesday. That's 3 weeks there where you've got potentially no help or interest. I don't know. No one's looking in the international community, right? You're going to go into the Christmas period and the international community sort of like shuts off their phones. They go off and see their families. And, what about the people who are left there? What goes on?
Yeah, Suella Braverman was calling she was saying for Parliament to sit over Christmas to do the Rwanda bill. Yeah.
If you can sit to do your ideological madness, then you can sit down to actually do something helpful.
Yeah. Next clip.
Go on.
The marriage plans of thousands of couples were dashed last week by the sudden announcement of a big increase in the salary requirement for a spouse visa. Can the Prime Minister give any reassurance to those with very well advanced marriage plans which appear now to have been scuppered, and to families already in the UK who need to extend their stay who won't comply with the new rules? Can he at least offer some transitional help for families, or does his party's support for the family now only apply to the highly paid?
Well, Mr. Speaker, we have a long-standing principle that anyone bringing dependents to the UK must be able to support them financially. We should not expect this to be at the taxpayers' expense, and the threshold hasn't been raised in over a decade. It's right that we have now brought it in line with the median salary. The family immigration route, as he knows, does contain provision for exceptional circumstances, but more generally it's also right, and I can tell him, to look at transitional arrangements to ensure that they are fair, and the Home Office are actively looking at this and will set out further information shortly.
Stephen Timms there making a case about the plight of people who won't be able to, their plans to marry their partner who's born abroad being scuppered, which I think if you're in that situation, you'd be peeved, at least. You wouldn't be able to marry your partner, or you'd still be able to marry them, but it wouldn't allow them to come to the UK on a spousal visa.
Well, you'd love this because you hate families, but it is absolutely extraordinary, isn't it? That we've got, whatever you think of immigration, we have serious holes in many of our industries, particularly the hospitality sector, care, the NHS. We have holes. People come and work in those sectors for us. They serve the country, and we now tell them, well, you can't bring your family because we don't want to pay you enough to do so. I mean, it's quite extraordinary, isn't it? Have you been to a pub recently? One of the biggest complaints from landlords is that they used to have, before Brexit, they used to have this sort of flux of people who would come, maybe work here for 2 years, and then they would go off and live somewhere else, and they don't have that anymore.
Really?
And there's a huge hole.
Producer Laura and I were actually up in Leeds on Monday, meeting a couple who are affected by this. They were Charlie and Sam is a teacher, Charlie is an American. That's a full-time job, but that's just the distinguishing characteristics of this couple. Full-time American, full-time patriot. And so their plan was they were going to get married and to get a spousal visa, and Sam's training to be a teacher. So I think the original threshold was about £18,000. So starting teacher salary, although it should be higher, is above that threshold. But now, in his career, Sam probably won't hit that threshold until, say, he's a head of department or something like that. So he and his partner are now intending, when they get married, to leave the UK. They're intending to emigrate so they can live together. So we're losing. So science, there's a massive dearth of science teachers in this country. Sam's a physics teacher, so we're not encouraging Sam to stay.
Yeah,
Sam's being pushed out by this policy. So we're not just losing the bad immigrants. We're losing the people, the good Brits that are leaving as well. For the listeners, I was making air quotes when I said good and bad, just for clarity.
He wasn't. So, where will they go? Australia?
They weren't clear. Australia would maybe be a sensible one, or somewhere they can both go together. I think Australia is probably the easiest. Maybe Canada. I think you can go fairly easily.
Yeah.
New Zealand, perhaps.
The one thing that we had going, because we don't have very good climate here, and life in general in the big cities can be a bit miserable. But at one point, we actually had good salaries, and you could have a nice time here.
Yeah.
And now it's like, we're going to take that from you as well.
Oh, think about
Please stay.
Yeah. Think about all the people going to Australia, or all the people who don't live in London.
Yeah.
Buying houses, and you're like, why the fuck do I live here?
Yeah.
How often do you think that, out of interest?
What? Why do I live in London?
Yeah.
Well, it's more complicated for me, I think, because...
Oh, you're from here, I guess.
But whereas, I often look at you and think, what do you see here?
Yeah, I think that...
What is it that you like?
When I see my friends owning places in Glasgow, I'm like, that would be nice.
Well, there's huge news today, isn't there? Apparently, Glaswegians have the best sex. Which paper was that in? Shall I have a look?
We did it. Someone had sex with someone from every city, and they had the best time with Glaswegians.
It's the Daily Star.
Who came last?
It was a study by Love Honey, which I think is it's a sex toy website, isn't it? Mm-hmm. People from sorry. People from Sheffield were the least satisfied, with just 42% saying they were completely happy.
Is that in bed or is that just in general?
In general.
Okay.
A poll of 1,500 people found 53% said their sexual desires were being fulfilled. That's a lot of unsatisfied customers.
Well, if
in this
only there's a
country.
handy sex toy website that could
Yeah.
that could fill their needs. I don't trust that data, I'll be honest.
Why don't you trust that data?
Because of the vested interest that Love Honey have in promoting it.
Oh, it's probably about right, though, isn't it?
I don't know. I haven't polled 1,500 people.
Well, I have. So
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Should we do another clip?
Please.
While Home Secretary was in Rwanda signing his new treaty, his department put out a contract to manage small boat arrivals until 2030 at a £700 million cost to the taxpayer. Doesn't this show that even the Home Office doesn't think the Minister's plan will work?
It's a total mischaracterisation, Mr. Speaker, of what was put out, which was an advert, not a commitment. But what I can say to the Honourable Lady, I'm glad that she now cares about this issue, not something that we've seen previously from the side opposite, but our track record is clear. We've got the numbers of small boat arrivals down this year by over a third, Mr. Speaker. That's what we're doing about it. The party opposite voting against every measure that we've taken.
They're highlighting the farce of the Rwanda bill that we've been talking about. So if the government were so sure that the Rwanda bill was actionable, or excuse me, if the Home Office was so sure that the Rwanda plan was actionable and any minute now the plane was about to take off, then why the hell would they be putting out a tender for £700 million?
Yes. What I quite like is that we've met a new MP. Did you know Mary Glindon before today?
No, I didn't. In fairness, that happens to be at most PMQs.
Oh, well, every day is a school day.
Absolutely.
And, do you know when
It's
you
like
sit in...
Pokemon cards.
Some people will find this interesting and some people won't. But, for the few, I'll tell you. When you sit in the press gallery, there are people who work for Hansard, which is
Record.
official record, parliamentary record, right? And so they write everything down as well as record it, and then they go back to their little offices and they tap, and then they store it forever. And they have these little books that are on ring binders that have all of the MPs' pictures with their names next to it.
Oh,
and so
that's cool. I was wondering how they did that.
Yeah, so they'll sit there, and when someone stands up to speak, if they don't know someone, they'll just like flick.
So, but is there like a key, or is it just like...
I reckon it's probably done by parties.
That would help, yeah. Or just the category, women with brown hair.
That would be quite good. Like, Guess Who? They could all sit there and be like... yeah.
Guess Who with MPs would be quite good.
Yeah, it would be good, wouldn't it?
We could sell
In
that.
Dorkland.
Yeah. These guys. That was the audience,
Thank
not
you
the
for
crew.
listening.
Thank you for listening, dorks.
Maybe we should do that then. The PoliticsJOE mystery, MP.
Guess the MP. There is a board. I think that is a something.
What? Yeah, it's called Guess Who. That's what we're talking about.
Yes, we've ripped that off. Guess who?
But we do
edition.
like big MPs through time. So we do like Edwina Currie.
Edwina Currie, Enoch Powell,
Yeah.
Lord Palmerston, all the big ones.
All the big hitters.
Regardless of whether or not they were like good people or not.
Yeah. And then, we could put people in there who haven't become an MP but would like to. So Seb Payne.
Seb Payne. Yeah. He's actually quite a good Guess Who guy.
It is, isn't
Wears
it?
glasses.
Oh, right, okay. Writes think pieces about things you never knew you cared about.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
Grant, we've got your take.
Okay, let me get the Reddit up.
Would you like to defend your... Okay, first of all, explain what your take is before you get the Reddit.
Well, I can't even remember what it was. I was
Yes, you can.
I said something to wind Ed up earlier.
Ava, with full chest,
hang
said
on.
that a Sinn Fain MP would be elected in the mainland UK.
Sorry, I'm just looking at that really rude message where it's like, congratulations, Ed,
What?
on coming to Leeds and managing to find exclusively Southerners to speak to.
That's not even a bit true.
It's not even slightly true.
Piss off, whoever that was.
Yeah, piss off.
Watch the fucking video.
Okay, so This morning I came in and I was in one of those moods where I thought I could torment Ed a little bit.
No, you weren't. That's actually, well, this is not
and
why
I
that...
thought I could get some support in what I'm about to say from...
One of the most honking takes of all time.
Yeah. So from the person who sits on the right to me, and that is Sean Hickey.
It's your take.
And I thought,
You're
you know
not,
what?
You have to take
Let's
the...
go full send on this, boys.
You have to carry the can for this.
No, I still stand by it. Okay, so... Why don't you stop talking to me? Why don't you never talk to me again? Shut your mouth before you speak to me. Okay. The question is, could Sinn Fain win a seat in England? Now, my argument relies heavily on proportional representation. Hypothetically, if Nigel Farage gets his way and we have a referendum on proportional representation that we then win, I could imagine a couple of Sinn Féins might go, do you know what? We've not taken our seats in Parliament thus far, but now, boys, we will.
It doesn't matter where it is.
So I could imagine someone, say, standing in Liverpool might do quite well.
Absolutely fucking never.
Well, they're quite disenfranchised in Liverpool, aren't they?
Yes, but
they won't vote for Labour, and they won't. So don't start commenting, being like, "Oh, you're such a Tory for saying that." Like, no, they won't vote for Labour up there. They will, but they don't want to.
I'd like to say you've caveated your argument on. You've tacked that on. You were talking about individual constituencies that they could win before under first past the post.
Maybe you just weren't listening.
Yes, I was. You were talking about Kilburn. You said they could win Kilburn.
Maybe you were listening with
you
your
said they
ears
could win a
closed.
constituency in Liverpool. You said they could win a constituency in Glasgow.
No, okay, right. I did facetiously say that I think they could win Islington North.
I think they've already done that.
Yeah.
Can I do my arguments against?
Yeah, I mean, why bother when there's 56 comments on this? They all argue against me.
So I'd like to add my 2 cents. Why would anyone vote on mainland Britain for Irish unity being like their main motivating factor?
They might put some other policies forward. I don't think that they're going to stand in Islington North or in Liverpool Wavertree on the singular issue of an independent island.
But then it would be Sinn Féin then. They also have to take their seats.
What do you mean? What, the SNP only have one mandate? Oh.
Well, yeah, because they only stand in Scotland. Their main thing is independence. And they wouldn't get any... They'd probably alter that slightly if they'd stand in England. Also, you could quite easily tarnish them by saying, that's the IRA party. And in England and the rest of the UK, the IRA is quite unpopular, believe it or not.
You might think that.
Yeah, I do. I do think the IRA is quite unpopular.
There was a really good point on here, and do you know what I should have done before I came on here is highlighted them? Someone on here wrote a really good point about someone who did win a seat.
Was it the thing? Oh, Laura was talking about this.
Oh yeah, Laura, do you know who wrote it?
I remember the point. Was it about Kate Hoey?
No.
Okay, never mind.
I did really like this one reply though. That was like, definitely not. Although I do think we should kick Northern Ireland out of the Union. They cost money and are always causing political and diplomatic trouble.
Do you think that party could win?
Thank you.
The kick Northern Ireland out of the UK one. That is Sinn Féin, to be fair.
Why?
That is Sinn Féin.
Your take, sir. Anyway, thank you, Poe Dameron, for that. That was good.
Yeah, that was a stinking take, I'm afraid.
Can you keep talking so I can find this?
Yes, other reasons.
I found it.
Okay.
Go on, carry on.
Sinn Féin wouldn't win because of first past the post. There's no strong, even if Irish identity or Irish heritage was a strong enough motivator to motivate voting for Sinn Féin, it wouldn't. I don't think it would preclude all other concerns politically. Like, you want safer streets, better local schools, etc. And I think that would take precedence over any kind of romantic call for an Irish reunification, especially if you live on mainland UK.
They weren't running on a one-party policy. One policy. Should we out someone in our team who earlier said that they might win in Hammersmith because?
Yeah, an anonymous person on our team. We have a 5-person team, and you all know their names.
Yeah.
So someone claimed that Hammersmith was majority Irish people because they can't read statistics. You can't move for the Irish in Hammersmith. You can't move.
Yeah.
Little Cork, they call it.
Yeah.
That's what people refer to Hammersmith. It's the Little Cork and City line.
A Liverpool constituency elected an Irish nationalist MP until 1929, but the demographics of Liverpool and their identity has changed a lot the last 100 years. Sinn Fain's association with the... we've already brought up the rest of it. But anyway, I thought that was interesting. That was proof engineering.
I think that is interesting, but also 90 years ago.
Anyone thinking Liverpool is politely off their head. North London still no, but somewhat more likely.
Anywhere else?
There again. Irish nationalist held a seat in Liverpool from 85 to 1929. Anyway, I thought it was a fun little topic.
Fun little topic, and you said it with a chest this morning.
We should ask Mary Lou.
Yes, Mary, if you're listening, tell me about it. Isn't that the most British media thing? Excuse me, Mary Lou McDonald, how are you winning in England? Yeah. What are your plans for mainland UK?
I
don't understand this. Tell me, that wasn't me being you. That was in general.
Can you do me though? Can you actually come on, do my voice?
What do you say a lot?
What do I say a lot?
What do I say a lot?
Who's that?
You.
No, that's not me.
No, it's not me.
Why did you do me like Harry Potter?
You sound like Harry Potter.
Like Draco Malfoy.
You do sound indistinguishable.
Can you do Moaning Myrtle?
No, is my answer to that.
Oh, it's pathetic.
Can you?
Yeah.
Are you going to prove that? Thank you for listening to the PoliticsJOE podcast, everybody. We will see you soon.